Hello, welcome to episode 90 of Mouth Dancing with your host Young. How you doing out there? I'm doing okay. Weather's a little crappy today, but other than that, I'm doing okay. How about yourself? Thank you. Have you ever grown your hair out? I grew my hair out recently. Well, during COVID, I grew my hair out really long. It went past my shoulders. Partly because of the pandemic, but also partly because I just hate going to a barber or a stylist or whatever. I'm not a fan of sitting there for a long time and getting my hair cut. It's kind of awkward and weird. And sometimes you have to make small talk with the person, which I really don't like. Like, what are we talking about? Why are we pretending to, have a conversation while you're cutting my hair? It's kind of weird. And the whole thing is like an ordeal, isn't it? Like having to schedule an appointment. Then it feels like it just ruins your whole day because you're like, oh, I gotta get a haircut at some point today. And you're just constantly thinking about this appointment that you have. Afterwards, it's okay. But then you might have little hairs all over your face, or just little hairs on your clothes. Probably have to take a shower when you get home. Unless they shampooed your hair at the place, right? Yeah, and then a new haircut is always kind of weird. Like, it's never quite right. It has to grow out a little bit, right? So there's an awkward phase there. But then if you're growing it really long, I swear there's more than one awkward phase when you're growing your hair out. You got the phase after you cut your hair, it looks okay, and then after that it's awkward again between short and medium length. And then between medium and long length, there's another awkward phase there. So when people say my hair is in the awkward phase of growing out, I'm like, which one? Because there's more than one, right? So I have to look at their hair length and say, oh, okay, you're in the awkward phase between the middle length and long length hair awkward phase, not the one between short length and medium length. And then sometimes there could even be little mini sub awkward phases in between those, depending on, even the day. Sometimes your hair looks better one day than the next. It's kind of like a little awkward phase there, right? And then, I don't know, is there one between long and really long? Not really. It's pretty much the same at that point. Depends how long you're growing it, I guess. Wasn't a fan of having my hair too long, though. I don't know how people can do that for a long length of time. It's kind of uncomfortable. It's like I was always, my hair would always be getting stepped on. Not stepped on, but I would always lean back on my hair if I was leaning against something. Or I'd always want to tie it back so that it wouldn't be blowing around or dangling in my face. So I think my favorite hair length is probably somewhere between medium and long. Or medium long. Not medium, that's a little bit boring. Not quite cool enough. And long is just too much maintenance, and I just think it looks just okay. It's not that cool or anything. So medium long for me. Oh yeah, there's also an awkward phase between, if you shave your head, between shaving your head and then growing it to a short length. It's kind of a weird porcupine look that you have there for a while. You have to kind of flatten it down or something, right? Yeah, that's another one. So there's at least 3 or 4 awkward phases in growing your hair out, if not more. Speaking of hair length, you need a mirror to check out your hair length, don't you? I was wondering the other day what life must have been like for humans before mirrors existed. Did everyone just think they were hot? Because, you don't know. You can't look at yourself in the mirror and see what you look like. So I think the default is probably to just think, yeah, I'm pretty hot. People are into me. So then it must have been really bewildering when someone would get rejected back then. because they'd think, I'm pretty hot, so I'm gonna try to get with this hot person over here that I'm attracted to. And then that hot person would reject them, and they'd be like, why? I'm so hot. How could you reject me? But they would never be able to reflect on that, you know. No pun intended there. They wouldn't be able to look into a mirror and say, oh, it's because I'm ugly. Not that looks are everything, but they're very important. Okay? Don't be in denial about that. Looks are important, no matter what anyone says. Yeah, just back then, if you weren't up to snuff, you wouldn't even know it. And it would probably really fuck you up in the head, wouldn't it? Because you're like, I'm so hot, but no one wants me. What's wrong with everyone? And that's probably like when you had the first like school shooter back then, right? But they didn't have guns either. No mirrors, no guns. So you just have this like raging incel caveman person who's just mad at everyone. Maybe he would like throw rocks at people or something. Or, I don't know, beat people up or something. I don't know. Must have been tough times for humans before mirrors. One good thing about mirrors is it lets you know exactly how attractive you are. Unless you're delusional about it. So, if someone rejects you, you could go home and say, oh, it's because I'm ugly. Or it's because I'm mid. I mean, not that attraction is the only reason someone would reject you. Like, you could be attractive and someone will still reject you because you're an idiot or a douchebag, but at least you'd be able to figure out one main reason, right? And, you know, even unattractive people can get with attractive people. But at least a mirror lets you know that that's one possible reason, right? You catch my drift? So mirrors are really important, and I'm glad they were invented. Because without them, who knows what would be happening, you know? We'd have a lot more crazy, you know, people out there just enraged and not knowing why people don't like them or keep rejecting them. So, thank you, mirrors. Thank you for the human discovery of them. And I'm not going to chalk it up to an inventor because mirrors were invented all over the world by multiple people. So if you try to chalk that up to one inventor, like one white guy or something, you're wrong. Mirrors have existed all over the world in all different cultures at all different times. So don't try to take credit for that. Finally, let's talk about Switzerland. Did you know that Swiss people eat dogs and cats? I bet you didn't know that. Usually people think of Asians when they think of people eating dogs and cats. Asian people, some Asian people in Asian countries, eat dogs and cats. And that's a fact. I'm not afraid to admit it because it's true. But people are always like making like jokes about Asians eating dogs and cats. It's like sort of an insult, right? Because in the West, these animals are companions and they're revered, and no one would ever think of eating these animals. So if you say someone eats them, it's an insult, right? Like sort of a cultural or racially centered insult. But, you know, it doesn't really stick when you know this fact that Swiss people eat dogs and cats too. There's even like animal rights organizations that are always urging Switzerland to stop doing it. It's sort of like this big secret about Switzerland. I guess they make sausages out of them, I think. I think that's the main way they eat dog and cat meat. And it's usually around the holidays, I believe, like Christmas time. Like a nice Christmas dog or cat sausage for you. Makes you feel festive and in the mood for Noel or whatever, or what do you call that? You know, Christmas tidings. Makes you, puts you in the spirit of giving, right? That the taste of dog sausage. Or maybe a cat frankfurter. The Swiss were neutral during World War II, in fact, because they didn't want anyone to find out about their dog and cat eating habit. Or they wanted to keep it, you know, preserved. If they got involved in the war, like Germany or another country might take over their culture and make them stop doing that, because I don't think they eat them in Germany or France. I think it's just Switzerland for some reason. I don't know how that custom started there. Maybe there was a point where they were starving and they had to eat their pets, and then it became like a thing. For whatever reason, I don't know how it started, and I don't really care. I just wanted to point that out. I think people should know it's an interesting fact. It's not just Asians who do it. White people do it too, actually. Europeans, who are supposedly very civilized and high-cultured. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it. The more you know, the better equipped you are to deal with life. And that's what I'm here to do. That's what this podcast is about. And with that nice little tidbit, that nice little factoid, little fun fact, a little bit of knowledge for you to expand your mind and increase your wisdom, I'd like to end this episode. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.